Alright, let's try this again. Takes 6 or 7 or something. Anyways, welcome to my channel. My name is Rowan. I decided to make these videos for 2 reasons. One, being a female going in the trucking industry, I wanted other women to maybe watch these videos and kind of see what it's like for those thinking about entering it, as well as so my family and friends can kind of watch if they want to, follow me along. Also, the second reason is because I want my children to be able to watch these videos and, maybe learn from them, see what it's like, kind of watch me while I'm away from home, as well as keeping these videos for a long time so that my youngest can see what mommy's been doing all this time and maybe learn from them. Maybe he wants to be a trucker one day, kind of see what it's all about. So I'll start off with just give a little intro about myself. So yeah, my name is Rowan. My coworkers and all that might know me as Sarah, or if you were somebody I went to school with, something like that, might know me as Sarah. That's my legal name. I haven't gone by Sarah in probably almost a year now. It's a bit of a long story. I'm not going to dive into it right now, but if you want to know why I go by Rowan, you can email me, which is in the description, or you can pop a comment down below. Maybe I'll make a side video, but it's not really trucking related, so I'm not going to get into it right now. It's kind of a long story. Anyways, I have 2 children. I have an 18-month-old son, and I have a 12-year-old stepson. I'm married. I live in the Fox Valley in Wisconsin. I grew up in Wisconsin. I homeschool my kids. Well, my husband does most of that now. I don't know what else to say about myself. I was planning to go to school, when I was in high school, applying to colleges, to go for art. So this is a little bit out of my realm of things that I planned on doing with my life. Before I started at Roehl, I was working shitty jobs. I was an assistant manager for a while at Family Dollar. I was a merchandiser. I worked for Walmart, a bunch of retail and shitty food places. No offense to the people that worked there, but I was miserable. I know most people that I worked with were miserable, and I decided that that wasn't what I wanted to continue to do with my life. I wasn't making good money at all, and I wanted to be able to provide for my children better. I knew I could do better, and I knew that I didn't have the time or the energy to go back to school or anything like that. So when Roehl popped up on my Facebook, I kind of just dove in. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into. They had an ad, saying, "Oh, you get paid $500 a week for training, get your CDL." And I'd always had the CDL thing in the back of my mind, just as a maybe, but I never really put that much thought into it. So yeah, I put in an initial application, and a recruiter reached out to me, and all of it was kind of hazy because I literally threw myself into the wolves, and I had no knowledge of how to drive anything manual. I didn't know anything about semis, or tractors and trailers. I didn't know anything. So it was intimidating, but I just did it, and I didn't think too much about it. My recruiter, set up an appointment for me to get my medical exam done. I had to go in and take tests to get my permit. And my advice to you, for those of you looking to get your permit, study really hard. I took too many tests. I only needed my air brakes endorsement, combination vehicle, and general knowledge to get my permit. And my stupid self took like tanker and doubles and triples for some reason. I failed the doubles and triples, which is fine because one, I don't want that endorsement, and two, I didn't need it anyways. But I passed tanker, so I have tanker now, even though Roehl doesn't really do much with tankers, but I got it. I passed the air brakes, I passed the combination, and I failed the general knowledge. I had like 2 questions left, and if I got one more wrong, I would have failed, and sure shit, I failed. Luckily, I went back in the next day, spent all night really studying, and then I passed and I got my permit. So, yeah, just study. I can put a link down below for the app that I used to study, which, like I said, I didn't know anything about air brakes. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what a fifth wheel was, nothing. And that app really helped me to pass the test. So, highly, highly recommend. So yeah, back to the initial reason for me posting these videos. The last time I checked stats, I know I'm saying a lot, sorry. The stats for women in the trucking industry, very, very small. They went up recently from 4% to 6% of truckers being female. And that was kind of intimidating for me. Never have I really let my gender, or I guess, whatever, kind of hold me back from much, but I knew that going into this, I was not going to have a lot of women around me. And so I got sent to Marshfield. Roehl puts you up in a hotel, pays for your breakfast, your lunch, and your housing. And so when I got to the hotel, I had another roommate there. And I got to class on Monday, and I started. There was surprisingly 3 of us in our class. I think there was like 12. It was way more than I was expecting. But then the following couple weeks, because each week brings in a new class, no more women. And then my 4th week, the 3rd class after me came in, and there was 2 more girls. But otherwise, it was mostly guys. All my instructors were men. All my higher-ups were men. I often said it was like swimming in a sea of penis, honestly. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I know I'm not the cutest thing in the world, and I was there for like 4.5 weeks. I I was noticed, put it that way, for being female. At some point, my last couple days there, I was walking up to the classroom building, and a guy, me and him were just chatting. I'm an older gentleman. And I started walking away because I was going to get my lunch. We were done talking, and he very quietly goes, "That's a pretty face you got on you." I never walked so fast after that. And the reason I bring this up is not to toot my own horn or anything like that. It's because being a female, especially if you're young and, you're reserved and, kind of keep to yourself and everything, men are going to notice you, no matter what. And that's just an unfortunate fact of being a female in this industry. It is something I noticed very quickly. Sometimes, Roehl's very good about that type of thing, so if I were to have been harassed or anything like that, I could have easily gone to somebody for help or to deal with the situation. Luckily, it never escalated to that. But just watch yourself, watch your back, take care of yourself. Yeah, I'm barely have my foot in the door, and I can already tell that being a young female trucker there's going to be some challenges besides the actual trucking part. So, I'll talk a little bit about my training. This last Tuesday is when I took my second test to get my Class A commercial license or driver's license. I failed the first time, and I'll explain that a little bit. So we'll start from the beginning. You go in your first week at Marshfield or wherever your training might be. If you choose to train with Roehl, I know they train in Conley, wherever Conley is, some state, Gary, Indiana, and also I know they do some training in Neenah in Wisconsin, which is actually kind of close to where I live. That's where my terminal will be. That's where my truck will be when I'm not driving. So yeah, your first week you go in, they do a physical test with you. So they have this machine where you have to like pull with your arms, with your legs, with your back. And I actually failed the first time. I underestimated that machine. Don't underestimate that machine, because the lighter you pull, the easier it's going to be to move. Whereas the harder you pull, the more effort you put into it, it gets harder to pull. And I didn't pull as hard as I could. And so the guy doing the test was like, yeah, you failed by a hair, come back in an hour to redo it. And I told him right away, and I was like, no, I'll just do it right now. Because I wasn't out of breath or anything, because clearly I wasn't putting in as much effort as I should have. And so I did it, again, right then and there, and I put in all my effort. My legs and arms were shaking, but then I passed. So don't underestimate that machine if you decide to go with Roehl. I don't know what other companies do for physical testing, but yeah, don't just put all your effort in. If you're shaking, that means you're doing what you need to be doing. Like, you want to be shaking from pulling and pushing so hard. So you do that in the first day, and then you go in, you got like 2 days worth of like classwork, which is boring, and you'll hear people bitch about how they want to be in the truck, but it's just kind of giving you the 411 with the company, what everything entails, what you're all going to be doing, going over company policies and what they expect of you. So yeah, it's not that bad. By Wednesday, started on Monday, by Wednesday I was behind the wheel. All right. So you get a truck that you test in, and there's usually 4 people, and then your instructor, depending on how many people are in your class. So I had 3 others in my truck, and they have a range out in the back end of the terminal, just like gravel and dirt that you drive around. And they got a bunch of like cones and stuff set up, and stop signs, and that's where I learned how to shift a 10-speed manual transmission. And yeah, that was interesting. All I can say is that I can do it now. To be honest, those of you who are going into trucking and never driven anything manual, you have the upper hand. I had the upper hand. I actually caught on to double clutching faster than my other truck mates, because all of them had driven manual before, and they had bad habits instilled with them, and also had the habits of just driving a manual car, which is way different than driving a truck, a tractor, a semi. So, you're going to want to float, as I heard people say a lot, and things like that. Just don't. Listen to your instructors. Do it the right way. Get to know your truck. Understand your RPMs and your speeds, and what transmission is, or what gear is good for what speed, because you're going to want to know. Don't have this mentality where you already know how to drive manual, and so you're just going to do it your way. Your instructors, 1, are not going to tolerate that, and 2, the truck drives different, period, than a smaller 4-wheel vehicle. So at the end of the day, I wasn't better than anybody else. I just caught on faster because I'd never driven manual. I didn't have all those other ways of driving stuck in my head. I'd only ever driven automatic. Moving forward, you learn how to just bobtail around the range, and then by second week, Monday, usually you hook up to a trailer. If you're doing flatbed or van, usually they start you out with a van trailer, They're just training ones. You learn how to back up and hook and how to, um, properly couple yourself and how to uncouple yourself, how the fifth wheel works, how to, secure your glad hands and your electrical lines and all that fun stuff. Um, but relatively easy. It's not rocket science, just making sure you know how to back up correctly so the fifth wheel slides right in with the trailer. So after that, you drive around for about a week, maybe 2 weeks in the van trailer. And then by your third week, the beginning of your third week, you hook up to a flatbed if you're doing flatbed. I did flatbed. So I'm actually a flatbed trucker. That's what I got trained for. And I think second week was the first time we actually went out on the road. Maybe it was Friday the first week? No. I don't know. Either by the end of your first week or the beginning of the second week, you'll actually go out on the road for the first time. And it's something else, man. It's intimidating. But listen to your instructors. They're not going to let you hit anything. They're not going to let you run anybody over. They're not going to, if you stall the vehicle, they'll help you get it back up right away. I'm not going to lie. I stalled a number of times. So when I get in my head, I got nervous, started playing do-si-do with my feet, and, I'd hit my brake, but not my clutch type of deal. So just keep your head in the game. Listen to your instructors. They're there to help you. They don't want you to fail because at the end of the day, you are a reflection of their teaching, and clearly they want to have as many people passing as possible. Listen to them. If you have any of the instructors in Marshfield like I did, they're wonderful. I had 6 of them, which is not common. You're only supposed to have like 1. But for some reason, our truck got bopped around. One of the instructors retired, and other instructors got moved to different classes, so that I didn't particularly enjoy, but I did get a lot of information from different instructors and learning how to do things differently. At the end of the day, all 4 of us in our truck passed. We all got our CDL. The other 3 passed on their first try, and I passed on my second. So, yeah, you'll be doing that. You'll be learning how to back for your CDL test in Wisconsin, at least. Or if you end up doing your test in Wisconsin because you come to, like Marshfield to train, you have to learn how to do a 90-degree back with the trailer. And you also have to know how to do an offset back, a straight line back, and then clearly, know how to drive the vehicle successfully. Pay as much attention when they're teaching you how to back because you're trying to back at like a 70-foot whatever vehicle into a little tiny spot. It's not easy if you've never done it before. By the time I took my second test, I only had 1 point off, and that was because I pulled up to like adjust myself 3 times on my 90-degree. You only get 2, so I got pointed that extra pull up. But you know what? I got in there. My ICC bumper was in the pocket. I was good to go, and that's all that matters, And then, so 4th week, then you're really just refining your skills. By the end of the 3rd week, depending on how you're doing, you might actually test for your CDL. I mean, it comes real quick. I didn't test until my 4th week. I tested on Tuesday of my 4th week, and I failed. I did an auto fail. I got through my straight line back, my offset, my pre-trip inspection, and I went to do my 90. And you get to get out and look. So you get out of the tractor to see where your trailer is twice. Well, I used up both of those before I was finished, and so when I was backing my ICC bumper into the pocket, which your ICC bumper needs to be in between these 2 sets of cones, it's like a 3-foot span, and my ICC bumper was on top of the first set of cones. It wasn't. I needed to be back at least another foot and a half, so I auto failed. The thing with Roehl, if you fail, just keep your head up. As long as you have progressed enough through the program and they feel confident that you can drive and you can do it and you don't flip out during a test day because you failed, they'll let you retest. And that was the case for me and a couple others. One of them I know failed again, so he got sent home. The other guy, I'm not actually sure. So just, it's going to be tough. It's the training in general is rigorous and intense, and it's not easy, especially when you've never done anything like this before. You're going to get beat down a little bit, even if you're just going to drive and you're grinding your gears a lot, like, just because you're nervous. Just breathe. Use your tools. They give you all the tools that you need to know how to do this successfully, and use those. Listen to them. They're there to help you, your instructors. So at the end of the 4th week, if you're in flatbed, you do go through a cargo securement course, and so you learn how to properly secure cargo. It's 2 days. The first day is just classroom work. They go through this book that you get, which is a cargo securement book. And take notes, man. I was the only person in my class taking an ass load of notes, and you know what? I'm glad I did, because a lot of the information in there is beneficial, and not only that, it explains laws and things that you have to know being a flatbedder. Don't underestimate that book. Read the shit out of it. Take notes. It's yours, and you actually keep it in your truck with you once you are on your own. And then the second day, you actually get out on the range, and you're practicing securing cargo. So, like ice at the sky, metal coils, or, crosswise, whatever, wood and pipes and all different types, with straps and chains and ratchet binders and all that fun stuff. It's actually kind of fun. I enjoyed myself. It was a good time. So that's basically the gist of what your training would be. Like I said, it's a good time. It's a lot of knowledge to shove into your brain, and it's like you're there 11 hours, 6:30 in the morning to 5:30 at night. Saturdays you have half a day classes where you learn trucking, and you also go through like a little hazmat course and atlas, how to use an atlas. Because believe it or not, we may have GPSs, but there's going to be times where GPS is not going to be your friend. So I think I'll wrap this video up. If you have any ideas of things you want me to go over, whether it be cargo securement, you want to know a little bit more about that, kind of my experiences more as a female, being here, doing these things. I would show you my truck. However, I'm actually home right now. Like I said, I got my CDL on Tuesday. I don't leave again until I think next Tuesday. My trainer is heading out from New York Monday to come and get me in Appleton. So it's a curtain side. If you don't know anything about a curtain side, it's technically flatbed, but they have, it looks like a van, but it's not. Like, your cargo cannot be leaning on the walls or anything like that. It's more or less, as far as I'm concerned, to keep the weather and outside elements away from your cargo. I could be wrong on that. I know that's part of it. I don't know. That, whatever. It's got a curtain on it on both sides, and you can like pull it back and access your cargo, and it detaches and stuff. So I'm a little nervous. I'm really nervous. I've heard a little bit about my trainer. His name is Al, and he's been driving since 1988. I know that much. And I was born in 1995, so wish me luck, right? Alright, so I think that's all I have to say for now. Hope you all have a great day. Like I said, any questions, any comments, any concerns, anything, even if you're a trucker and you got any advice for me, give it to me. Seriously, I recognize my ignorance on this. I understand that I'm totally new. And I'll end this video with actually something a trucker told me not too long ago, who's been trucking since before I was born. He told me, and I think this is actually really great advice, it's a really good mentality to have going into your training, male or female, doesn't matter. He told me, if you ever feel the need to stop learning, or you've learned all you need to learn in this industry, then it's time to hang up your keys. So you're never too old to learn. You know, at no point have you soaked up all the knowledge that you can. Always keep learning, always keep pushing yourself. I've had to continuously remind myself that, you know, doing this, because there was times where I definitely just wanted to give up. Like, it was too much, I couldn't do it. You know, other issues, just, you got this. As long as you go in with the right train of thought, understand that this is a whole nother world. Whole nother world. Completely. And I've barely stepped in the door, and I can tell you it's a whole nother world. So yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll talk with you guys later. Bye.